Stand by for Gowanna.org radio. In 3, 2, 1. Cue the announcer.
You found Gowanna.org radio, your one source for tech news and reviews. Now, almost live from sunny Florida, here's your host, Gowanna McCall.
Greetings, folks, and welcome to episode 264 of Gowanna.org radio. We got a great show lined up for you. 11 stories. 11 stories ranging from everything from Google to YouTube to Apple to Doctor Who. Doctor Who? Doctor Who, that's right. Yeah, I'm a Doctor Who fan. I'm a Whovian. Shut up! I will smack your face into the TARDIS, and you will not know what will hit you. But this is Gowanna.org radio. What we do here at Gowanna.org radio is we talk about tech news and reviews. This show has been going on for such a long time, and I've been going on and off the air just randomly due to various reasons. But I'm trying to stay consistent. This is my, fifth show in a row? It's a new winning streak. We're going to try to win the pennant. Who knows? Maybe I can get a good trade in, get a new pitcher, get a new catcher, get a new manager. I don't know. Baseball's not really my forte in terms of knowledge of the position, so I'm going to shut up. I played Little League, but you know, that was like in the 1800s. But Gowanna.org radio, we're gonna have a lot of fun today, guys. We're also streaming at my live stream at twitch.tv/Gowanna, and giving a behind the scenes footage view of what's going on. If you follow me on YouTube, you may have noticed that I have added you to my Google Plus circles. YouTube just added a new feature where you can connect with your audience, so don't be alarmed if you see a circle notification that Gowanna McCall has added you to his circles, and I plan to take advantage of that. It essentially targeted my most engaging users on YouTube, and it gave me direct access to them, which is kind of cool. So I won't be spamming you. So if you don't want to be spammed, you can always decline or just ignore me. But we're going to be utilizing that feature as well. Just wanted to throw that out there for all of you listening to the podcast. We got a great show lined up for episode 264 of Gowanna.org radio.
It's time for Gowanna.org radio's tech news for this week.
And for our first story, we're going to talk about Google's Chromecast. The Chromecast, the casting of Chromes. Chrome Dome, your Chromecast. This is a device that's kind of been, I don't know, it's been very interesting to me because I recently got one. I got it, and I've been trying to play with it, been using it for various purposes. I've found some strengths and weaknesses. I'm thinking about putting up a review. But the first story I want to talk about is using Chromecast while traveling. Now, when I first brought it up, when Google first announced the Chromecast, I brought up the scenario of people who like to travel and watch Netflix and who like to watch YouTube content. Now, Chromecast is a very, very small HDMI dongle, and I put it in a use case where it would be a great traveling device. Better than Apple TV because it's a smaller footprint, and other devices that are similar. The Roku is really small too, but this is actually the smallest footprint of the three that I mentioned. Now, I saw this story on ReadWrite.com, on ReadWrite Web, and I was like, wow, that pretty much nixed my whole traveling scenario. Essentially, Chromecast has issues with hotel internet. Now, if you've ever been to a hotel and used the internet, generally you have to log in through a web browser before you're granted access to the internet. They have some old proxying thing going on, and they assign IP addresses. Sometimes hotels will charge you for internet, and you have to give the username and password in order to connect. And even some hotels have free internet, but still require you to have the username and password. Now, the Chromecast will not work on these these scenarios. So if you were hoping to watch Netflix or YouTube on your hotel flat panel, because pretty much a majority of hotels now have flat panels with an HDMI input. Some block them and some don't. But if you're using a hotel free access point or any type of public Wi-Fi, which requires a username and password, then you're likely going to run into problems with Chromecast. And this article over on Read Write Web talks about the issues and the things that prevent you from doing it. Along with that, you also will have problems with networks that have AP client isolation. And this is something that I learned. I didn't know about this. Some connections will prevent device-to-device connectivity for security purposes. And it's a great security feature. But Chromecast will not work on those networks. It must have device-to-device connectivity. So if you're on a network that prevents that, you're going to have problems with Chromecast as well. Now, the good thing about this article is that it does provide some alternatives. It does provide some workarounds for this solution. There's everything from like programs like Connectify. A solution I used to use when I traveled was called the Airport Express base station. It was like a giant plug, which allowed me to share my connection across multiple devices. I used to travel with 2 laptops. I don't think people used to know that. I used to travel with one personal laptop and my work laptop at the same time, and I would have to connect both of them to the internet using a single connection. And I was also have my smartphone as well. So I would share that over an Airport Express base station, which are great travel routers. They also talk about, a MiFi or hotspots feature and other little doodads that will help you get around this problem. So if you are considering getting a Chromecast and using it for travel, be aware that it may not work in most hotel Wi-Fi situations. Check the story out, guys, over on Read Write Web. That's always been hard for me to say. ReadWriteWeb.com. They got the details. Chromecast will travel. Oh, maybe not. Maybe not traveling. Speaking of Chromecast, our next story, we're going to talk about Chromecast from an iOS perspective. One of the selling points of Google's Chromecast was that it did work with Android and iOS, Apple's iPad, iPhone devices. So cross-platform support was a really good feature, bullet point for those interested in Chromecast, because Apple has some good solutions, but they only work for iOS. And this is a possibly an attractive solution for both devices. So this article, also on ReadWriteWeb.com, gives a perspective of the iOS devices. Now, I haven't tried iOS on my Chromecast just yet. I was meaning to try my iPad soon. But this article talks about some of the compromises that you have to deal with iOS devices. So naturally, you would think that, this is a Google device, the Chromecast. Google has mobile devices, Android devices, has its own browser. So you're not going to see probably very good support with Safari, and some of the iOS stuff may be minimal. That's kind of an expectation and an assumption any person would make. But let's be realistic. Google really didn't make this clear when they announced the product. I mean, we assumed that it would be seamless on both platforms. So some of the limitations include, and this article goes into detail, I'm not going to go through every little thing, but the iOS, the platform does not have a native application on iPhone or iPad. So there is an app that you can download on Android, which will allow you to configure the Wi-Fi, to set up some other settings, to reset, change networks, Wi-Fi passwords, or rename the device. All of that's possible to do on the Android phones via the app. iOS users don't have that luxury. Now, you can do this from a computer. You don't have to do this from your phone. It's just, we're looking at this from an iOS perspective. Also, the applications that are available to stream to Chromecast from the iOS are limited. Currently, on the Android device, you can stream from Google Play Music, Google Play Movies and TV, Netflix, and with YouTube. Those are the 4 main apps. On iOS, you can only stream Netflix and YouTube. There's no current way to stream anything else. Now, I imagine hopefully people will be writing applications to do this in the near future. But right now, you can't do it. You can't stream from a browser tab with Google Play Music on iOS because there's no Google Play app on iOS. So you have to actually do it from the web app, which doesn't stream the Chromecast. So these are some limitations that people may not be aware of. Now, there's also some bugs that are available. This article notes that there are some casting problems. When streaming from Netflix is pretty good, but they talk about Chromecasting from YouTube actually not working. You have to do it multiple times, and if you pause and resume, it doesn't pause and resume correctly. So there's little bugs and quirks that actually hinder the iPhone's experience. Now, like I said, I've been using this primarily on my Android phone, and my experience with the device is that Netflix and YouTube and Google Play Music work pretty well with the Android device, as it should. Like I said, this is an assumption one should make, that Google's going to make their stuff run pretty well on their devices. But still, we got to be aware of these issues. If you got an iOS device and you're looking at the Chromecast, there's going to be limitations. The Apple TV stuff and the Apple devices may be a better sell. You may want to pay that extra $65 to get an Apple TV instead of a Chromecast if you get an iOS world. So check this story out, guys. Look at the little quirks. If you're considering the Chromecast and you have iOS devices, you may not want to get it because the limitations may hinder your expectations. And for our next story, we're going to talk about an individual that I featured on Buona.tv a few years ago, way back in 2007. And I'm quite proud of featuring this guy because he came up with a feature that's used on just about every social network that people didn't know about until recently. It's called hashtags. And if you look up my video on Buona.tv, it's, I got a lot less gray hair. I look a lot more perkier and younger. But I'm talking about Chris Messina. And he talks about hashtags. And he came up with the idea of essentially tagging your posts, tagging your information with informational tags using a hash mark or a pound sign, if you will, if you're looking at a phone. So he created hashtags in 2007 as a way of grouping online conversations. And as you know, hashtags are used everywhere now. Twitter, Facebook, Google Plus, pretty much every social network is using this. And he was hired at Google to help focus on design and open web. The reason why we're talking about him today is that he is leaving Google to go to a little company called NeonMob, and it's an online art trading card sticker collecting hybrid startup. Say that 5 times fast. But I'm happy for Chris Messina. Like I said, I talked about him way back in 2007, and I remember briefly speaking with him because I mispronounced his last name. And I hope I got it right this time. He was like, "You messed up my name." I'm like, "Oh, I'm so sorry, man. So sorry." But here's hoping that Chris Messina does great things at NeonMob. His new startup sounds really, really cool. And yet another Googler to leave Google to start their own startup. This is a common thing you've been hearing about. A lot of Google's bright developers. Google hires a lot of smart people, so it makes sense that eventually they'll branch off and go start a company and get bought out and make millions. Silicon Valley way. Check the story out, guys. Over at Engadget.com, Chris Messina, hashtag creator, is now leaving Google to go to NeonMob, a digital art platform startup.
You're listening to Bawana.org Radio, a potpourri of tech news and reviews.
And for our next story, we're going to still ride the Google train and talk about YouTube. YouTube has recently opened up their live streaming platform to more content providers. If you have 100 subscribers or more, you will now, according to this article, over on makeuseof.com and other sites on the web, you'll be able to now live stream from YouTube itself. Now, YouTube Live came out almost, I think, a couple years ago, and it's been limited to big streams. And I me sitting at about 45 1,000 subscribers. I've been stuck there for a while. Yeah, guys, go subscribe to my YouTube channel. Jeez, what's wrong with you? I didn't get access, so I wasn't big enough. And the idea behind YouTube Live is to provide live streaming, but it's a different type than what you may be thinking. If you look at a live stream on YouTube, it's essentially a live broadcast, sure. And essentially, you could save it and watch it for later as a VOD, sure. But the interaction features of it are lacking. So if I were to use YouTube Live for what I do with, let's say, Buana.org radio, the YouTube comments would stream so fast, and I'd have limited access to the history. It's not really a great take on interaction. So if you are looking forward to using this, just take note that the YouTube commenting feature for the live access may not be what you're looking for, but you will have the YouTube platform to stream live. You will get decent quality, and it does have the backing of YouTube's billions of servers. So there you go. If you get 100 subscribers or more, give YouTube Live a try for your content. Now, obviously, there's competition out there. Not a whole lot, though, but there is competition. There is Ustream.tv, and there's also the sites that I use, Justin.tv and Twitch.tv, for your live streaming needs. So if you even looked at live streaming, you probably know about the competition out there. But YouTube is a great way to consolidate your content, especially if you use YouTube as your primary delivery mechanism for your videos, and you want to also live stream there. So if you got less than 100 subscribers, you can check out YouTube Live. They're allowing you to stream now. So check it out, guys. This is over on MakeUseOf.com. YouTube is now allowing live streamers for users with 100 subscribers or more. Choo choo! Google Train still riding along. But this is not necessarily, this next story, not necessarily about Google itself, but I've been talking about the transition that users who used to use Google Reader have been going through. And Google Reader was a great RSS reading service that Google provided and recently shut down. Now, Feedly is, and probably still will be the #1 alternative to people who used to use Google Reader. Now, I used to use Google Reader for this show and for my other shows to gather news. And even today, I use Feedly to gather news for Buana.org Radio, episode 264, which you're listening to right now. Now, this next story is kind of a, I don't know type of story. Feedly is now offering a premium service. Now, this is a company that has to make money, has to stay afloat, can't go out of business. They get millions and millions of users. They have to upgrade their hardware, so they're going to need money, right? So it's not surprising that they will have to monetize the platform. Feedly is now going to offer a paid service for premium users, and this paid service is going to be called Feedly Pro, and it's going to cost $5 per month. So that's not terrible. That's not actually too bad. I mean, even my subscription program over on twitch.tv/Buana is a measly $5 a month, and twitch.tv's Turbo is $8 or $8 to $9 a month. So it's not a terrible price. Now, they did offer that the first 1,000 users could get a $99 lifetime license, which would definitely be something you'd be interested in if you knew you were going to be using Feedly for more than 2 years. But it's first 5,000. My bad. I said first 1,000. First 5,000 users, but it has been sold out. So you can forget I just said that. So 5,000 people have already purchased the $99 lifetime license. So obviously people are willing to pay for this. Now, what does it offer? You will be able to search keywords within articles. You'll be able to get one-click Evernote saves and priority access to Feedly's customer support line. The company promises more features down the line, according to the article, and says users will have a hand in deciding what those will be. Now, support, don't care about it. Evernote, don't care about it. Search, yeah, that's something that gets used by a lot of people. And I think that should not be a premium feature. Now, it's probably going to tax their servers. They probably see a lot of a direct correlation with search and a lot of their scaling issues. So this is probably why they're going to monetize it. But as an end user perspective, I don't care about that. I am using the service and I can't use keyword search unless I pay. Now that's kind of limiting. And that's probably the only feature I have an issue with. The others are fine. So am I going to get Feedly Pro? Probably not. Am I going to miss the search? Yes, I am. Because I have used keyword search in the past, especially if I saw an article and I want to revisit it, or I just want to go through my saved articles and look for a certain article, or search is a common feature for any app. So Feedly Pro will be coming, I believe, in September. Let me see if I can find the exact date. It's not coming immediately. It is going to be coming soon. So bittersweet here. I mean, I love Feedly. I've been talking about them. I did a video on them way back in 2007, 2008, whenever that was, on Buona.tv. Really, really love the service, but I don't know about that one search feature. But check this article out, guys. Over on gigaom.com, they got the details. Feedly Pro offering premium services. Or are they crossing the line with this search limitation? And for our next story, we're going to finally stop talking about Google. Man, got to rename this podcast to Game Chat with Google Buona.org radio stuff. We're going to talk about Apple. Apple has implemented a new USB power adapter trade-in program, which offers a new charger for $10 if you send in your old one. Now, why would they do that? There was a story, which was true, of a flight attendant who died while she was trying to make a call, while she was answering her iPhone 5 that was charging, and she was electrocuted from a faulty USB power adapter. Now, it's been reported that the power adapter that she used was a third-party provider and not provided by Apple. But Apple is taking a preemptive strike here. They are actually taking a proactive approach, and they're going to offer users a discount. Now, the power adapters are usually $19, and Apple is saying if you want to trade in your current adapter for an official Apple adapter, we'll charge you $10. And they're going to offer you one plug per device that you have. So, I don't know what to say. I mean, it's kind of sad that happened with the flight attendant, but it's also kind of scary. I don't have any third-party adapters for any of my mobile devices. I seem to do a decent job of keeping up with the ones I have. I've bought about, how many iPhones have I owned? 5, 6 iPhones, iOS devices, and I've got a kind of a collection, but I kind of marry the adapters that come with the phone with the device because I don't like to mix and match all the time. There may be power differences, especially with the iPad and such. But yeah, this is going to be between August 16th and October 18th, so you got a little time to get this done, to trade in your iOS power adapter to get a new one, Apple sanctioned one. So check the story out, guys. If you do have a third-party iOS plug, is according to this article and what I've read on the web, it doesn't affect all third-party providers. So if you're like, oh my goodness, my phone's gonna blow up, it's not everybody. As a matter of fact, that the one that probably blew up was probably just a faulty device, and the chances of that happening to you are probably slim to none. But if I had a third-party one, I would probably do this. So check it out, guys. This is over on Engadget.com. They got details. Apple's going to do a USB power adapter trade-in program. New chargers for 10 buckaroos. Are you looking for a job? You probably have heard of LinkedIn.com. LinkedIn.com started as a social network for professionals where you can hook up with people you've worked with and, build bridges for new contacts and keep in touch with people, especially if you need references and you need to know about job openings. It's a really good site for if you want to land a job. It's since grown to something much bigger than what it started. I mean, it's pretty much allows you to share status updates and share images and share media. Pretty much a Facebook for professionals, almost. But some people don't like LinkedIn. So this article over on makeuseof.com talks about some possible alternatives to LinkedIn. And they mentioned some that I was a little bit, I just didn't know that you could do this. I was like, you really? The first one is Pinterest. And when you think about Pinterest, you're thinking about an image board. I mean, how would you get a job? Huh. I don't know. But reading the article says Pinterest isn't just for posting pictures of disgustingly melted crayons or overexpensive clothing. It's a great way for people to display their portfolio and expertise. So if you're looking to get a job in maybe digital media, and you want to show off what you've created, this is a great way to showcase your art to people. But you can also do photographs, images, arts, and videos. These can be properly pinned to introduce yourself in a friendly social manner. So this is great stuff that can actually augment as well LinkedIn. The next one is Facebook, obviously. Facebook has a couple apps, the Facebook Marketplace and the Social Jobs Partnership app. So if you're looking to find a job, you can do it via Facebook. Also, Plaxo. You ever heard of Plaxo? I've used this before. It has a way to track contacts, and it will notify you if someone's contact information will change. So it's a great way to track your coworkers or former coworkers if they move to a new job, a new city, and you need to contact them. Plaxo will give you a one-to-one communication with them. And obviously, there's Twitter. Twitter has a bunch of job postings online, and a lot of recruiters use Twitter to look up people's profiles, to contact people via DM and all kinds of stuff. So there's a lot of different things. You'd have Jobster and some other ones that can give you alternatives and even augment and cooperate, if you will, with LinkedIn to find yourself a job. And I know a lot of my viewers are either in school or graduating or looking for a job. So this article may give you some pointers on increasing that search. Check it out, guys, over on makeuseof.com. Don't like LinkedIn? Here are 5 other social networks that can help you land a job. Jeff Bezos, the founder and CEO of Amazon.com, is buying the Washington Post newspaper. What? Now, this seemingly doesn't seem like a very big story, but in essence, it's a testament of where print is going. Washington Post is a very, very, very popular newspaper or digital publishing company. And this deal includes the website, Washington Post, whatever, and the Slate and the Root.com. Actually, no. The website is part of the deal, but the other online properties, owned by the Washington Post company, including the Slate and Root.com, are not part of the deal. So the point I want to bring here is that Amazon has always been a big advocate of books, in case you hadn't noticed, with their Kindle app and their Kindle devices and ebooks and reading in general, and online magazine subscriptions. I mean, I remember the first place that I saw that I could subscribe to a physical magazine online was at Amazon.com. And Jeff Bezos, he's buying this for $250 million, and you gotta wonder if this is the future of print. Is Amazon basically going to consolidate all of these print companies? I mean, look at USA Today and all the other big ones. I can't think of them off the top of my head. The New York Times. Print is slowly dying. I love to read a physical newspaper. I've always gotten joy out of it. I got it from my father. He used to read the paper all the time in the morning and before he went to work. And I just love doing it myself. I used to read the paper all the time, not just for news, but for all the other articles and things that were in there. At one point, I was sort of thinking about going into print, but I changed my mind. The idea that Amazon bought this, I think it's going to open the door for other providers to buy these print companies. I think they're in trouble. New York Times, I think, is doing pretty good because they have adapted to digital media. But the future is going to hold more digital media outlets for these companies. And are they going to be able to afford it? We don't know. Excuse me. They're going to need companies like Amazon to support them. So I think this is the beginning of something bigger than what it initially looks like. Now, obviously, this is just a one-time deal. I mean, it's just a one deal with Washington Post. So we don't foresee that there will be any kind of big changes immediately. But Jeff Bezos, I think he's the type that will buy a couple more companies. The guy is, from my perspective, he's pretty ambitious when he wants to do something with the company, with Amazon. And he generally does it right. Amazon doesn't do very many things wrong. And they're up there in my top favorite companies that I purchase from. Amazon's up there. Now, I used to buy stuff from Best Buy all the time. I used to just go to Best Buy, walk around, and don't buy anything. I used to just window shop at Best Buy all the time. Now it's pretty much Amazon for everything. I don't go to Walmart. I don't go to these other big chains. It's Amazon for pretty much everything that I need to buy online first. I look there first. And I am an Amazon affiliate, so it's something that I have a vested interest in, that they succeed, because I'm affiliated with them, and people purchase through my affiliate. I get paid for that, so there's a vested interest for me. Article also points out that he also invested in the Business Insider. So this is another print company, a digital publishing company that he invested in. And like I said, I'm looking for him to invest in more. So this is the future, guys. This is print is slowly dying, and we're going the way of digital. But can these digital companies transition without being purchased? And will Amazon.com and other companies like them come in and swoop in and save them? If that's the case, check it out, guys. This is over on ReadWrite.com. They got the details. Jeff Bezos buys the Washington Post. Is this the beginning of a beautiful relationship with other print companies? We will see. We will see.
You found Bawana.org Radio. Tech news and tech gadgets for the hardcore geek in all of us.
Hello, Canadians. Hello, Bawana. If you're Canadian, you'll be happy to know that Kickstarter will now be open to Canadians. So if you want to start up a Kickstarter project, it will become available in your country September 9th. So if you're up in Canada, that's what I like to say. It's not a joke, guys. It's just a little loving term that I use. I call Canada Canada. You'll be able to do some Kickstarter programs, and Kickstarter is getting very, very popular. I mean, a lot of startups go there first now to get crowdfunded. And in the past, if you had a startup, you had to approach venture capitalists, and investors to get funded for your project. And this is a really easy way to start up a company, to start up a project, because all you really need is an intro video, some sort of a proof of concept, some sort of a evidence that you're going to actually do what you provide. Same thing you would pitch to a venture capitalist or an investor. And you're basically pleading to users to, hey, we have this goal. We want to raise 1,000, 250,000, whatever it may be. And your contributions will help. And in return, we'll give you, early access to whatever we're doing. We'll give you some physical goodies, some swag, and we'll love you forever. That type of deal. So, Kickstarter now coming to Canada. Check it out, guys. Over on Engadget.com, they got the details. If you're looking to start a project and Kickstarter and you're in Canada, you can do it. Starting September 9th. What's your name? I'm the Doctor. Doctor Who? Exactly. Doctor Who regenerates. The 12th Doctor has been chosen. This is a story over on /gear, and every Whovian out there was following this predicament. Our beloved Matt Smith, the 11th Doctor, will be leaving us, and there will be tears to be had all over the place, because we Whovians, we have this cycle where we hate the Doctor at first, and then we kind of get used to him, and then we go, we love this Doctor, nobody else can be better than him, and then when he leaves, we cry tears of TARDIS. Doctor Who The 12th Doctor will be Peter Capaldi. Peter Capaldi, better known as the foul-mouthed political advisor Malcolm Tucker from the movie In the Loop, will be the next Doctor. Now, obviously, he's probably not going to be foul-mouthed in Doctor Who. But one of the things I was very intrigued by is that he is a huge Doctor Who fan. It's not just cliche. On the reveal that I saw, they brought up a old letter that he wrote when he was 15 to the newspaper, essentially talking about Doctor Who. And when he came out, he actually did the Doctor Who pose from the first Doctor. He grabbed this, jacket like he did and had his head down. It was actually pretty impressive. I was like, wow, he's definitely a big fan. But he's a little bit older. But if you've been following the Doctor Who series, the first Doctor was freaking ancient. So these recent Doctors have been pretty young. But he's a little bit on the older side. Looks like he's between, his late 30s and maybe early 40s. If he was 15, I think it was 1988, he was 15. So he's around that age. Around the same age as me, actually. We expect to see him. I believe he'll be revealed in the. What's it going to be in November? When it starts back up. I'm not sure when exactly the episode. It might be the Christmas special. Yeah. Matt Smith's going to be leaving this world at the end of 2013 with his final appearance being the Christmas special. And we'll probably see the regeneration. Now, if you haven't been following Doctor Who, they transition from Doctor to Doctor to Doctor. Very cool way called regeneration. It's not like James Bond where all of a sudden there's a new James Bond. The story kind of links together all the Doctors and they regenerate when they are about to quote unquote die. They regenerate and they have a new appearance. Peter Capaldi, the brand new Doctor. We're going to be looking forward to what he has to offer. Check it out, guys, over on slashgear.com. They got the details. Yeah. Oh, actually, he's 55 years old. I was off. 55. Few years off. Wow. Check it out, guys. slashgear.com. And for our final story, we're going to talk about burgers. Boigas. Shaboiga. The burgers. Boigas. Apparently some people grew a hamburger in a lab. And, it cost them $325,000. And, after tasting the burger, it tasted like feet. Apparently, this burger was grown from stem cells in a lab. And, the artificially grown meat was not really a huge success. And I immediately thought about Star Trek and food replicators. Replicated meat. It ain't the same as the real thing, man. I thought about Deep Space Nine and Cisco's father being a cook in New Orleans, Cajun food, and he used to always do it the right way, and it was nowhere near the same quality as replicated food. I wouldn't eat a shaboiga that's artificial. I just wouldn't eat it. It kind of scares me. I was even afraid to eat ostrich burgers. Did you know that Fuddruckers has an ostrich burger? And it's actually very lean and very good for you. It's much better for you than traditional cow meat. But problem is, it's about the size of a tank. So you offset the nutritional value of it by eating a whole pound of it. It's like giant ostrich burger. They're really good though, really tender and juicy. But I never imagined myself eating ostrich. But when I had it for the first time, I was pleasantly surprised at how good it was. I missed that. They don't have Fuddruckers here in Jacksonville that I know of. I have to find one now. Thank you, article, for sparking my hunger pangs and giving me the idea to get an ostrich burger. This is not an ostrich though. This is a lab-grown burger. And it tastes like sadness. So I don't know if there's going to be much more regarding this. They spent a lot of money to create a nasty burger. I mean, $325,000. You could have just went to Publix. You could just went to your supermarket, spent $5, got you some ground beef, and crack an egg in it. Mix it up, marinate it, throw it on the grill. 5 minutes later, you got a nice tasty burger. There's a tasty burger. Check it out, guys, over at extremetech.com. The nastiest burger and the most expensive burger created by man has been done. Would you eat it? I don't think I would. Hey guys, Buona here. Just want to take time to thank our corporate sponsors, Amazon.com, Greenman Gaming, and YouTube. Without these guys, Buona.org Radio would not be possible. So thank you to our corporate sponsors. And that concludes our stories for episode 264 of Buona.org Radio. I want to thank everybody for coming by and listening to the show. Feel free to follow my channel over at radio.buona.org. It has embeds to my YouTube channel at youtube.com/ILBuffer. You can also follow me on Twitter at twitter.com/Buona. I'm also on Google Plus at google.com/+Buona. And we do this show every Tuesday and Thursday nights with tech news and reviews. I also have a gaming podcast called Game Chat with Buona, which we do every Saturday at 3 p.m. Eastern. So check us out on our other outlets if you can. I hope everybody enjoyed the show. And that concludes episode 264 of Buona.org Radio. And I will see you next time.